The Meeples and Miniatures podcast is sponsored by Two Fat Lardies, Geek Nation Tours, and by the generous donations of you, the listener. Thank you to everybody for your continued support. The Meeples and Miniatures podcast, episode 221, Cigar Box Battles, with hosts Neil Shook, Mike Hobbs, Mike Whittaker, and Dave Luff, and guests Cory Ring and Chris Ward from Cigar Box Battles. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Meeples and Miniatures podcast. My name is Neil Shook, and this evening I am joined by a cornucopia of podcast hosts. Since the first time for a while, everybody's turned up. First off, we have the Welsh wizard himself, Mr. Hobbs. How are you, sir?
Hello. I'm fine, thanks, Neil. How are you? Everything good?
Well,
We'll take that as a yes, then.
You've got to be, ain't you? And then we have our resident troubadour, perhaps with or without cake. Mr. Whittaker, what is your current cake status?
It was very nice.
Aha, he's eaten it. Okay.
Well, yeah, it's cricket season, which means Anne cooks cakes on Sundays when she's roped in to do teas, so there was cake. Last of it got finished at the band rehearsal last night. Sorry.
Cool. And we are joined by the great guru himself. It is the Luffmeister. Hello, sir.
Hello. I could be weakening there.
Down with frugal gaming.
All hail him.
I need to send myself a re-education.
What? Ooh, that sounds interesting.
Oh yeah, I might split it with a bit of money, maybe. I don't know.
Apostasy.
Yeah, I know.
Ooh,
but it's a board game, so it doesn't count.
Apostasy, the board game, man.
No. It has already been established that board games do not count.
Yeah,
we established this 2 years ago when I went on a no new war games pledge.
It was up for
and I point out I bought Dungeon Saga.
Yeah. Mm.
What are you about to buy, Dave?
Yeah, possibly Dungeon Saga. All of them.
There you go.
Well,
yeah.
Well, the rest.
The rest, yeah. What I haven't got left.
Let's not give us away now. Let's save this for later. Because later we can really take the pee out of Dave.
Oh, indeed.
What, more than usual?
Yeah.
Okay, well, what have we got coming up for you on today's show? Well, we are speaking with Chris Ward and Cory Ring, who are the guys behind Cigar Box Battles. If you're not aware of Cigar Box Battles, they're the guys who produce some rather nice wargaming mats, which are really rather lovely. And we have reviewed them. Well, I think we reviewed them on the blog, and we talked about them on the show before. But we finally got round to get them on the show and having a chat about how they got started and everything about Cigar Box Battles. So we got that coming up shortly. Before we go any further, I just wanted to say thank you to everybody. Thank you for everyone who posted their best wishes on Facebook. I really appreciate it. As you're aware, the podcast last week was delayed by a couple of days because I've been running around. My wife's just had an operation, or recently had an operation, and I've been running around doing, hospital stuff and all the usual rubbish surround, when you've had somebody in hospital. So podcasting editing got a bit delayed, but I let people know, and lots of people posted really nice messages on Facebook and Twitter and what have you. So thank you to everybody. Really appreciate your very kind words. And on that note, I think we'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll find out what we've been up to, which might be a bit more than what we talked about last week.
The eagles have gone. Britain lies defenseless in a cruel world. Since the birth of our Lord, it has been 456 years. What sins have we committed to bring this punishment to Britain? I speak, of course, of the Saxons. They came as allies, but now they seek conquest. The lands of the Britons lie ravaged before them. Blood runs red in our island. We need a leader to stand against them. We need a man to bring together the Britons in common cause. We seek a Dux Britanniarum.
Right, that's enough of that. Dux Britanniarum from Two Fat Lardies. They really are very good.
What have we been playing? What have we been buying? We might even have painted something. The Meeples and Miniatures crew reveal all.
Okay, so it's about that time when we find out what we've all been up to over this past week or so. And maybe a bit longer for those of us who haven't been around. So, who would like to inform us about what they've been up to?
I think we should make the slackers go first.
It's got to be Dave. He's not been in longer than I have.
What have I been doing? What have I been doing, Neil? Can't remember now.
I say working on you, Dave.
I've been working a lot. Yes, I have. I've been working a lot. But amongst the working and the one-to-one scale of papering and painting and other such decorative effects, I managed to get a bit of 28mm painting done on my Dungeon Saga purchase at Salute, and they're nearly getting close to all being done now. Just chipping away when I get up, because I'm a bit of an early riser, as most people know. I'm normally awake at about 5 o'clock in the morning, and funnily enough, Mrs. Jones, when you're turning up to do her stairs, hallway, and landing, doesn't like you turning up at 5:30. So you have an hour or two to kill, which normally involves keeping my books in order and then doing a little bit of painting. So so Dungeon Saga stuff is all about done now. Bit difficult to paint though, I found.
Really? Why is that then?
I don't know. It's because I think it's because they're more lifelike figures, aren't they? They're more true scale figures, so they're not your sort of normal chunky 28s or whatever. They are sort of, I suppose, a bit like, dare I say it, the Exilis figures that are a bit sort of truer to real life scales. So things are sort of a bit more in proportion. Arms and sort of like the thickness that an arm should be, if you know what I mean.
In other words, they're thin and spindly.
They're thin and spindly, yeah, and sort of small heads, which is what like loads of people used to complain about Exilis figures, when actually what they were sort of missing was the fact that they were actually a true scale and sort of actually in a proper sort of size proportions. So all being things being equal, it does sort of make things a little bit difficult. Sometimes you can quite easily lose detail. So it does take a little bit of a different sort of knack to paint them than it does just your standard 28s.
There's a very good set of videos on YouTube by a guy called Spider, 666. That's SPYDAH 666, who's basically gone through just about every miniature, certainly in the core set. He spends a lot of time using ink washes very, very creatively, and I strongly recommend a watch.
Right, now I find this out.
It is not the first time I've mentioned it, actually. It's just you might not have been on the podcast.
Right.
If you had turned up to the show, he's been mentioned at least 3 times in the last 4 or 5 weeks, to my knowledge.
I say, maybe I was asleep.
Yeah, that'd be it then.
So that. And then what else have we done? We had a game of. What do we have a game of? I want to say Westeros.
No,
but that's totally wrong.
It is totally
wrong. That's only because I watched Game of Thrones.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. No, I'm not going to say anything. Not a lot happens, really.
Yeah, please don't.
Nothing happens. There's not a lot to tell, really. What's the game, Neil? You got to help me out.
Lords of Waterdeep, mate.
There we go. That's it. Lords of Waterdeep. Yeah. That's pretty good. Worker placement game. So I had a game of that.
Yeah, Westeros, Waterdeep, seen one big sprawling fantasy world scene of all.
Exactly. That's my sentiment. Good game, though. Apart from Neil insists we have to call all the different coloured blocks by their right characters or right class. So I can't just say I want a purple brick. I have to say I want a wizard. Otherwise, Neil gets all upset that I'm breaking the law, or whatever it is, as in LORE.
Yeah, well, come on, you got to get with the game. I mean, I know it's resource management and stuff, but you are recruiting for an RPG quest. So, what would you prefer? Excuse me, can I please have a rogue, a wizard, and 2 warriors, as opposed to can I have a purple one, a black one, and 2 oranges?
Yeah, but that means I've got to remember what all the colours are. It's hard.
Poor baby.
Exactly. You have to try and remember that an orange one's a warrior, and a black one's a thief, or whatever. Just say I just want a black. I'll have a black one, please, or I'll have an orange one, please. So much easier.
Philistine.
Well, there you go. Gets the job done quick, though, doesn't it? That's the thing.
You still beat me, so I'm not.
Yeah, Dave beat me, though. Big shout out to Dave.
Yes.
Hey, Dave.
Yeah. Done me by, what was it, 2 points in the end?
2 points. Yeah.
2 points.
2 points. Yeah. I mean, the one interesting thing about that actually was because our other usual game opponent let us down again on a Thursday. Stood us up again on a Thursday.
That's right. So no Dungeon Saga.
So we ended up with it's one of those things where you got 3 players. So what are you going to do? And an awful lot of games struggle. Especially a lot of games that say 2 to 4 or 2 to 5 players. An awful lot of games struggle with 3 players for the simple reason that a lot of the time you end up in a situation where you end up with 2 ganging up on 1.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. But,
which is what happened. We all ganged up on Neil, basically.
Yeah.
Well, actually, what I was going to say is actually Lords of Waterdeep didn't suffer from that at all. It was as good a 3-player game as it was a 4-player game. Because we played it 4-player a couple of weeks before. So, I'm going to write a review, a proper review for the blog. Lord of Waterdeep is an excellent game, and it is as good with 3 as it is with 4.
It's up there with Pillars of the Earth when it comes to worker placement, and I dare say Pillars of the Earth doesn't work very well with 3. You need 4 or 5 really. Pillars of the Earth to work really well. So that is definitely a plus point for it, that it does work very well with a 3.
So two big thumbs up for Lords of Waterdeep. But yeah, that's what we were playing last week, Mr. Luff. So anything else? Bought anything?
No, not bought anything.
Almost bought anything?
Possibly. Emails have been exchanged between myself and those good people at Firestone Games. Oh dear.
Other Wargames retailers are available.
Yeah, they are. But oh dear. Yeah, they possibly might relieve me some money at some point in time. I'm just building up to being able to do it. Yeah.
Go on, Dave. Just do it. Just do it.
He's building up the courage.
Yeah.
Building
The
up
moral
courage.
fortitude.
It's a board game. You're allowed.
Yeah, but it's not the fact that it's a board game. It's the fact that I'm buying all the expansions for Dungeon Saga, and then you think, oh, while I'm at it, because I've got free postage now, I might as well buy some washes, and I might as well buy some of this, and I might as well buy some of that. And you know what? I'll just buy those critters as well that come with Dungeon Saga that are out as well.
You may as well do it in one hit, mate.
And this is how they get you. This is how they get you.
Well, by having lots of stock that you can buy.
Yeah. This is
What
how
they like. How dare they?
So they're like Kia equivalent, aren't they, of the gaming world? And then you go, oh, that's only £1. That's only a £5. That's only a £10. You think, oh yeah, that's fine. And then before you know it, you spent an extra £100 more than you'd intended. It's actually sitting on my account at the moment. So I haven't actually, done the dastardly deed yet. No. Well,
He's not pressed the checkout button.
That's right. Well, I'm trying to kid myself that the reason why I'm doing this is because a couple of the things that I've ordered are like got 1 to 5 days ordering time on them. So I'm thinking, well, if I've got to time it right so that I'm actually at home when that maximise the chance that I'm going to be at home when that delivery comes. So really, I should have done it probably last night, but there you go. So I've got an excuse anyway.
Just do it now, Dave, whilst you're online.
Yeah.
Go on, Dave. Go on, Dave.
You can feel the cold shiver from here, can't you?
Yeah.
Last time I looked, it was £160 in there.
Oh, you'll get a proper courier service then.
Oh,
It'll be here by tomorrow.
I want more than proper courier service, I tell you. Yeah, this is why I'm going to get sent for re-education, I think.
The great Gulaf has fallen.
Well, I don't know. You see, board games don't count, as we all know. But that board games were up for review, whether they counted anymore. We're withholding that one at the moment, anyway.
Well, I should point out that it was you who brought them up for review. So
Yes, so exactly. So we're abstaining on that at the moment till I don't know, at least another 6 months anyway.
It's going to have to be the Colts AGM, isn't it?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. Either 2/3 majority of the minions.
That's right. Yeah. So that's where I'm at. Oh dear, it's a hard life, but there you go.
Cool.
I have only one thing to say, Dave. Embrace the shiny.
Embrace the shiny. Well, it's not that shiny now, is it? That's the thing. So I've had enough time to realise it actually isn't an impulse buy to buy it now. So,
but one man's shiny is another man's non-shiny thing.
Well, that was profound, Hobbsy. I'm in awe.
yes, the Welsh wizard speaks.
Having spoke, moved on. No, wait, hang on, that's something else, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, Hobbsy's responsible for about 21 quid's worth of it anyway, because of the washes he was saying are very good.
Yeah, very good.
So while I was on there, I was like, oh, do they sell the washes? Damn, they do. And there's a new set come out as well.
You think I got mine from you, fool?
Well, yeah, I did suspect that. I think actually what I should do is actually order them all and then order them all for you to pick them up and carrying them all the way to Leicester, to be honest, as penance.
Could be arranged.
You got to walk all the way carrying them, like in Crackerjack, but not drop one.
He doesn't sound very sorry,
No. I'll be fine, Dave, but I'll just sling them in my boot.
I'm going to say, I don't think they'll probably get here, possibly.
If you want to order your stuff, Dave, and have them pick it up, I'm more than happy to go and pick it up.
I'm sure you would, Mike. Thank you very much.
And I'll bring it straight back home and look after it. I'll love it and care for it.
And
so,
and kiss it and squeeze it and call it George. Yeah, we know.
I'm just worried about the size of this box when it turns up.
Oh, you don't have to worry about the size of the boxes. I mean,
He's never going to get it through the letterbox, is he?
Yeah, he'll just jump up and down it a few times. He'll go through.
I have 3 words for you. Conan King Pledge.
Well, yeah, quite. Yeah. I have another couple of words. Yes, mythic battles. Boy, that's going to be a big box.
Well, it was big enough spend, wasn't it?
Yeah. What's the first? Moving on. Mr. Whittaker, what have you been up to?
What have I been up to? Let's see. We had the first round of the club's Border Reavers campaign using friend of the show's Second Thunder Games Open Combat, which you may have seen at Partisan, which is progressing very nicely. Everybody seems to be having fun. What else? First round of the club's Judge Dredd game, which I'm not playing in, so I spent my time assembling Shermans in large quantities.
What, more Shermans?
Yeah, more Shermans.
Were these those crabs, or are these something else?
No, the crab. Well, I've got the Flames of War Club crab sitting here, cursing Battlefront because there are no assembly instructions on the website, just 4 photographs. Thanks, guys. And I shall move on from that to roundly cursing Skytrek, who have sent me 3 more crabs in loads of bits with no assembly instructions. And no photographs. So we shall see. That will no doubt be entertaining. In general, prepping for Posh Lard, which is this weekend. By the time you hear this podcast, there's probably just time to get in the car and drive to Peterborough for the 23rd. Prepping for Hereward in September. What else have I been doing? Thinking a bit about the other Partisan. Being slightly boggled at the number of people who've signed up to the I Ain't Been Shotman group this past month. We've gone racing from about 160 to 210 members in about 3 weeks.
Ooh.
I don't think Rich will be complaining about that. So yeah, we're going to be taking a little bit of I Ain't Been Shotman light to the other Partisan for those who want to come and stick their head around and run a platoon for a half an hour or so.
Oh, cool.
Which will be set in my favourite little corner of Europe, namely Italy. You'll get to check out the paper terrain buildings as well, with a bit of luck. Apart from that, scoring cricket, eating cake, usually in conjunction. That's about it, I think. Unless somebody's about to remind me of some horrible guilty secret I've forgotten.
Yeah. Bought anything other than the crabs?
Have I bought anything? Yes, 30 feet of bocage.
Oh, okay.
I know at about 50 feet of 15 mil bocage. We might actually be bought
bocage.
Yes.
You mean you haven't built it like me and Neil have?
Yeah, and how long did it take you? Would it take you to build 50 feet of bocage?
Oh no, not long. Once Neil got the whip out and made me dry brush for the rest of eternity.
So merely the rest of eternity then?
Yeah, plenty of time.
Thanks. I'll spend a bit of my bonus instead.
Yeah. Good man, Mike. You do what I do. When in doubt, buy from someone.
When in doubt, pay some other bugger to do it.
Yes.
This is actually from Tree Fellas.
Ah.
Nice.
The jolly nice fellas from Tree Fellas. My only critique, which I probably won't get to fix before Saturday, is that they are rocky, earthy banks rather than grassy ones. But that's nothing you can't fix with a very large brush and PVA and an awfully large quantity of static grass. But I'm not going to do it before Sunday.
Well, not on 50 feet of bocage.
Not on 50 feet of bocage, no. Indeed.
Do you need 50 feet?
On a 12x6 table?
Or is this Neil? Is this like a Neil? We need this much.
Well, think about it. As one bocage fully hedged road from one side to the other of a 6-foot table is 12 feet.
Well, I've heard that think about it before from certain Mr. Shuck when we were making walls. We only ended up using a quarter of it, if that.
Someday you will be grateful.
Someday, Camp Group on luck. That's all I'm going to say. Someday,
my son, all this will be yours.
Someday, at some point, when we actually get to play a war game again.
So yeah, that's pretty much me. If anybody has any assembly instructions for a Flames of War or Skytrek's 15 mil Sherman crab, it's probably too late.
Okay, I'll go next, shall I? And leave Mr. Hobbs till last, so he can share all his goodness with us. Indeed. I mean, you've heard most of mine anyway, because I was playing Lord of Waterdeep with Mr. Love last week. No other games played, nothing painted. I did purchase a couple of things. We backed a couple of Kickstarters that finished at the weekend, which was Fabled Realm was finished at the weekend, and Burrows and Badgers did as well.
Oh, and Terra Firma from Sally Forth finished a week or so ago, and I haven't been on the show since.
I'm very, very tempted to back Carnival. Carnival started this week, which is the Troll Trader. We saw it at UK Games Expo, Mike and Dave.
Yeah.
It's a warband game set in Venice with some really nice miniatures and some very, very nice MDF terrain from Troll Trader, and that Kickstarter started this week. I am sorely tempted. It has to be said. I am sorely tempted. Anyway, but I haven't backed that. But the one thing I did buy, I bought paint. I was kidding myself that actually what I needed, I wanted to try some paint triads, and besides I didn't have a lot of white or black left. So I kidded myself that I needed a few paints. So I bought some paints, and then realised I'd forgotten to order one set, so I ordered a bit more. So I bought paint this week. So the intention's there. I just haven't managed to apply any of it to any sort of miniature yet. But I have bought extra paint this week. But that is the sum total. I bought some of the Coat d'Arms triads. I was thinking of buying the Foundry stuff, and then ended up wimping out and going with what I knew, which is the Coat d'Arms triads. So I bought, I think it was a black, a white, the silver one, the bronze one, the leather one, and then I bought some more of their dark brown superwash because that's brilliant, and just a couple of the extra pots for I think things like just anyway. So yeah, bought paint. So I'm kidding myself that I'm now fully prepared to actually kind of find some time to put some wield a paintbrush in anger. Watch this space.
Well, you've got to show Dave how to paint, haven't you?
Yes, Mr. Hickman, indeed.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, by the way, Mr. Hickman would like to say thank you very much for the advice, and he has succumbed and bought he's bought a set of Frostgrave soldiers to practice on.
Oh, cool.
So he would like to express his thanks for the idea, and so there we go.
Cool.
So you're still going to paint some stuff, some stuff before I will. Yeah, that was me. A bit of gaming, bought paint.
But he's got the box already painted. I used to love it. We used to go to Salute, and I used to do it on purpose. Used to try and get it all painted before I saw Neil the next week, just to him off. It was funny. Used to come around and go. You just used to look at it and go, oh. That was it.
Yeah. So these Coat d'Arms paint, I even use them. Are they the flip tops or they dropper bottles?
No, they're flip tops.
Flip tops, right?
Flip tops.
There's a little ring that goes around the top, which you have to take off first.
Yes.
Just in case you forget how to open them.
You just reminded me of something else that this whole classic thing of you never know that you needed something until you saw it. Yes.
I think the most expensive ball bearings in the world.
The most expensive ball bearings in the world. Hello, Jeff. I never realised it was a thing. Yeah, you can buy stainless. You can buy a pot of stainless steel ball bearings for paint agitators.
It's a good idea, though, isn't it?
It is. It's an excellent idea. It was. I thought, really? Oh wow. Okay. So I must admit, I did. Yes, that was something else I did. I did buy. Although, because it's like obviously, all of a sudden, it's a hobby accessory.
You'll be buying gravel from the car park as a basing material next.
I think you can get that from Foundry, allegedly, unless they're listening. In which case, I know nothing.
So there we go. So yes, thank you, Jeff, for that idea of paint agitators, and I will be taking it. Up and giving it a go and seeing if it works on some of my slightly more aged pots of paint.
Let me try.
Yeah.
No, they won't. No, this is the thing. They're not.
They can't fix dry, Neil.
No. This is the thing. They're not. They're not though. They're not because these are really decent paints that don't go dry, despite the fact that I've had them for more years than I care to remember.
No, Neil. It's not because they're decent paints that they go dry. It's because of water evaporation that they go dry, mate.
Yeah, you don't want to open them, Neil. Let all the air out.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
like Tutankhamun's tomb.
Yeah.
You know what happens.
Yeah, try adding some water or thinner.
Yeah. Put some turps into them, that'll work.
Mr. Hobbs, what have you been up to this week?
Stuff. What have I been doing? Oh, God. I've been carrying on painting some Conan figures and a bit of 40k. I still haven't finished those Terminators, but they're getting there.
Painted Conan figures.
Yes. I've been playing some games. Met up at Firestorm on Saturday with Ty and Mark, and we played Conan. We did the 2-part Infernal Pursuit scenario.
Yes. Yeah, that's the part that you played part 1 of, Mr. Love.
Yeah.
So we did that. We did both parts with all painted figures, which is very nice.
Yes, I noticed that. You were tweeting about that, weren't you?
Yeah. Mostly courtesy of Glenbrook Games, who painted all the pirates for me. Thank you, Matt. Otherwise, it would be about 5 painted figures and an awful lot of unpainted pirates. So we did that. That's a good scenario. Very, very good fun, that scenario. And then we played Pop Alley.
Oh, cool.
We haven't played for a while, so that was fun. I did a group of basically British fascists, really. I was going for the quantity over quality side, so I bought as many minions as I could find and threw them all out in front and have them shoot at anything that moved. Was my one and only hero and her sidekick. We went and tried to find some objectives, which seemed to work. Although I lost an awful lot of figures. But yeah, that was a good fun game. And then I had a game of sort of sharp practice as well, which was always good fun. So been doing that.
Cool.
I had a Kickstarter turn up. My he was a Normandy compendium Kickstarter turned up, so I've got the new rule book for that with all the stuff in it, and all of my secrets.
Shadows over Normandy.
Yeah, that's the one. Shadows over Normandy stuff arrived as well, so that's in a pile to be looked at and drooled over. And I bought some fantasy dwarves.
Yes.
Because I just fancied painting some fantasy dwarves.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. This is nothing to do with anything else.
No reason at all. I just, you know what's like there. There comes a time in any wargamer's life when you think, I really fancy having a fantasy dwarf army in 28mm.
Indeed you do. And so what do? You come to the person you know who's a bit of a dwarf fan.
Yeah. So I asked you which ones, and you said get the Avatars of War or Games Workshop. So I've done that. So they should be turning up any day soon. And that's about it.
Oh, cool. You promised our listeners last week that you were taking a trip. You were taking a trip into the land of tractors, and you'd potentially be doing a Meeples roving reporter slot.
Yeah.
Or failing that, you were going to be signing an NDA and couldn't talk anything about it.
One of those two things has happened, Neil.
Ah, right, okay. What's the phrase? Enough said. Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Things have happened, stuff.
Yeah. Stuff, yes. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Was it? The word is mum.
No, my mum wasn't there. My mum lived somewhere else. I went and saw Jim and Aid Oh, damn it.
As I believe we have said before, what happens in Evesham stays in Evesham.
Yes, indeed.
Massively impressed with the standard of the painted armies that were on show on the Twitter feed last week. A hugely impressive array of miniatures.
It was, wasn't it?
It was incredible.
Stealth wargaming is the way ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Ibbotson outdid himself.
He did.
Indeed. Yes.
Blimey.
Right.
Given how good Mr. Ibbotson is normally.
And if you're wondering about that, have a gander around Mr. Hobbs' Twitter feed.
Yeah.
So is that it, everybody? Are we done?
I think we are.
Marvellous.
We are.
Marvellous. In that case, then, we shall take a quick break. When we come back, we will be chatting with Chris and Cory from Cigar Box Battles.
The nation is vast. There are battlefields of old, great convention halls, and worlds of fantasy to explore. Who will guide us across this great geek nation?
Since 2010, Geek Nation Tours have been providing holidays for groups of like-minded people. Whatever your nature of geek, tabletop gaming, TV, film, comic books, sports or science, Geek Nation Tours caters for you. Visit www.geeknationtours.com for more details and join the great Geek Nation.
Have you ever wondered what's going on in wargaming? We do too. So come with us as we go behind the hobby with the Meeples and Miniatures interview.
We're very pleased to welcome to the Meeples and Miniature podcast, we have Chris Ward and Cory Ring from Cigar Box Battles. How are you guys?
We're doing great. How are you?
Doing great, thank you.
Fantastic for coming on the show. Thank you for joining us.
Well, we're happy to be on. We've listened to a lot of the podcasts, and we were definitely happy to be invited to the show.
Been looking forward to this one for a while, it has to be said. We'll go into, if you've never heard of Cigar Box Battles, we'll go into everything about that shortly. Chris and Cory have both listened to the show, so they now know what they're in for as the next question. They're new guests on the show. So the first thing we'd like to find out from them is, how did you get into the gaming hobby? How did you get started?
Cory, why don't you go first?
Well, actually, I'm in my late 40s, which I think a lot of gamers, probably a lot of your listeners are in that range, probably like mid to late 40s. But I've always been attracted to toy soldiers. So growing up as a kid, when I went into toy stores, the Britons, the 54mm figures, those were sold heavily here in toy stores, and I always had attraction to them. I had a big collection of Civil War soldiers of the 54mm Britons, and my dad had kind of inherited a collection from him of some older ones, probably from the 40s or 50s, which I still have, and that's kind of neat. So, I used to set up big battles with plastic soldiers in the Britons with Lincoln Log forts as a kid and have a great time with my brother, and we'd throw pennies at the soldiers. Kind of a typical wargaming story. And then in the 80s, Dungeons & Dragons came along and with the miniature figures, and that was the side of the hobby that attracted me probably the most, was just playing with miniatures. So I collected miniatures, and kind of then, that natural progression, it grew into kind of mass battles. After you had 100 orcs, it's like, well, what do you do with them? And started dabbling with some chainmail, Warhammer, and battle system from TSR. Board games, of course, played a lot of Risk and Axis and Allies and Diplomacy and that kind of stuff. And then, but probably my first proper wargaming experience came when I went to the university. There was a club there, right? Best thing that could ever happen to a wargamer. Got involved with a club that was playing things like Johnny Reb and Empire and Man Decision, Sword in the Flame, Tactica. We meet weekends on campus and Tuesday nights at somebody's house, and that club, continued. I mean, that club probably ran, 10, 20 years, just kind of consistently meeting, and still in touch with a lot of those guys. And I still play most of those games. I mean, those are some of my favorite games still, like Johnny Red and Tactica, Sword in the Flame. Of course, I play new games, but I'm dabbling with the new General de Armée right now from Icewoods Press. That's a great game.
Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of my wargaming story. Right now, as far as what I'm currently doing, is I'm painting a lot of 28mm Civil War and for Johnny Red and of course other rules, but and War of the Roses, 20mm War of the Roses. So
All right.
Those are probably my two big projects right now.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Chris?
My journey into gaming was a very American journey, I would say. It basically started with having a comic book shop close to my hometown, and the comic book shop had a rack of magazines that had to do with gaming, and that caught my eye one day. So I started to read Dragon Magazine was the name of it, and started to read Dragon Magazine and would see the advertisements for miniatures in Dragon Magazine, and found some another store in our local area that had some miniatures for sale, and started picking those up and using enamel paints to paint the miniatures that I could get at our local retail store, and then basically got into role-playing games as well, and so I always had that kind of that interest. And much like Cory, I went to a different university, but much like Cory, when I got to university, my dormitory was on one corner of a street, and on the other corner of the street there was an actual gaming store, and would go in there and see guys set up battles, and Games Workshop was the main product line that they had at that store at that time in the early 90s, and just enjoyed painting, and decided to I've always had an artistic bent, so I was just kind of attracted to miniatures as a medium, really. And so I would purchase miniatures, paint them, and play with them at the store. And then as I grew older, that interest kind of evolved into interest in historical games. And so basically at this point, I've kind of dipped my toe in a lot of different gaming circles, but probably my interests right now are some World War II tanks. We're using the rule set tanks by, I think that's Gale Force 9 that does that.
Oh, yeah.
And then Cory and I are always looking at American Civil War stuff. So I'm excited about the new release of Fire and Fury that's hopefully coming out some point soon, or probably may already be out. I'm not sure yet. But so really, that's kind of my world and how I got to be where I'm at.
Okay, so how did you two guys get together?
Well, a story. Well, all right, Chris, why don't you take it? Yeah, you tell us. This is a good one.
So, we both had young families and didn't know one another. This is probably about, 12, 13 years ago. And my home backs up to a field, and one day, my oldest son, he saw another child on the other side of the field, and the two kids basically started running towards each other just to kind of, there's another friend that I could play with. And so they basically ran and started playing with each other, and I was out in the yard at the time, and so was Cory, and so we just kind of met and introduced ourselves to one another, and started asking each other about our commonalities and our backgrounds, and turns out we were both gamers and had no idea we were that close to one another, and geographically. And so just kind of met and started talking through gaming and seeing what each other's interests were, and I would go to Cory's house and drool over his area in his home where he had his table set up, and because it was just always something really cool to look at. My gaming area was basically just piles of books and a place where I painted. So, anything you want to add to that, Cory?
Well, no, it's just, but yeah, how neat is that? I mean, it's pretty rare just to find a guy right around the corner. We literally, like, if I step out of the back of my house and look across the field, I can see Chris's house. And,
Oh, cool.
yeah, so I remember we're actually starting a gamer compound. So if any of you guys want to move into the neighborhood, that's an open invitation, you know. But I remember, yeah, I didn't know he was really a gamer, and he came over, and we went upstairs, kind of in my upstairs above my garage. I had a bonus room that's basically turned into the gaming room. I told my wife, I said, I get one room in the house, basically, right? I mean, you know how that is with your wife, and I said, this is the gaming room, and that was our agreement. So she stays out of that room, basically. But I had a table set up, I think, and a game set up, and I remember Chris, you know, we were just talking about something else, and he saw the gaming table, and then it just kind of clicked from there, because he was also a gamer, so kind of a neat story. And then we just have had a friendship ever since. That's kind of what led to Cigar Box Battle, was just our friendship as gamers.
Okay. I mean, it's great when you actually meet somebody who lives close by, you know, because I've been in a similar situation. But how does that morph into producing mats?
Well, that's an interesting story too. You know, part of it was that we just wanted a way to pay for our hobby that didn't necessarily hit our family's budgets. I look at the things that are available for gaming, and I'm like, oh, I want this, and I want that, and I want this, and I want that. And if I give in to all of that, you know, eventually everyone around me starts suffering because of it. So, I think Cigar Box Battle wasn't really Cigar Box Battle at the time. It was just us trying to find a way to subsidize our addiction, if you want to say. So, honestly, we started out just our big bright idea, right, was about the time blogs were becoming a big place for people to share information, and we thought, well, we can just start charging for some advertising revenue after we get a lot of people interested in the things that we're saying, because we know there's people out there that like the things that we say and are interested in the things that we're interested in. And if we say the right things and show some pictures, and all gamers like eye candy, so we'll just take photographs of things that we do and share that and get some internet traffic, and maybe that'll turn into some of these other manufacturers or people that we know that might want to advertise on our space, and maybe that could pay for our gaming, right? And so that was the theory, and then reality hit, and we realized, oh, that'll buy like one box of Perry miniatures every 2 years.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we weren't making a lot of income off the blog, and that really wasn't the intent. Like I said, the intent was just to generate little side money, you know. You know how it is as a gamer. It's a curse, right? You're on Kickstarter, you see the Conan board game, or you're looking at the North Star catalog, and you see all this cool stuff, and it was just a way to, you know, kind of subsidize or have the game hobby kind of pay for itself. But, you know, honestly, the blog was fun, but it definitely wasn't the answer for generating a little extra income. And, so we kind of as our origin story of Cigar Box Battle is we were in Nashville, probably maybe 2014 or 15, something like that. Maybe 2014, probably.
Yeah.
And our friend John was wanting to run a game of Shiloh, and I was going to run it with him. And John I said, hey, I'll build a very nice custom 3D board, you know, for us to run the game on. You know the routine, right? Buy the foam, carve it, paint it, lock it. You know, hours. You know, probably hours of 20 hours to build this thing at the board.
Try to make it modular so you can transport it.
Just and so you could store it. You know, and John said, no. He said, I got a better idea. I've got some artwork that I'm going to have. I'm going to have a mat made, and you can run the game off that. So we knew that, you know, gaming mats had existed. I mean, that wasn't real any new idea, but I think something that the three of us kind of came up with was having basically a mat made, but with roads and fields and streams printed on it. That was the big kind of turning point for Cigar Box. And it kind of risky. People thought we were crazy. Like, well, no one. I mean, if you put roads and streams and fields on it, no one will buy it. I mean, there's no why would they? You know, they can do that themselves. But so we had a Shiloh mat made, and we ran a game on it, and it was the head turner of the convention. I mean, people walked in, and they were just like, "Oh my god, this is
Where did
awesome.
you get that?"
yeah, you can fold it up, put it in a backpack, and where did you get it from? And I'll buy it now, And we said, well, they're not for sale. And then we kind of had a brainstorm over a couple of beers in the bar at NashCon about, this is something gamers might like, and this is something that is pretty innovative, and let's produce these. And our talents just kind of came together. That's the best way I can say it, with synergy. And we started kind of slowly designing. Chris started designing the mats, and really the rest is history. With, like I said, I think the biggest leap of faith for us was designing different kind of mats. Before, it was just pretty much always a green mat. I mean, you probably had one. Those old, you know what I'm talking about. Those old, a flock. Everybody had one. But the mat we had, it had fields on it. It had roads and trails, and it had the peach orchard from Shiloh, and it had all this represented. And literally took minutes to set up. You could just throw it down, throw some trees on top, add a few buildings, and maybe a few fences when you're ready to play the game. And I think that's where Cigar Box Battle really, that was our birth at that point.
Yeah, and just to add to one of the things Cory is saying is kind of like the coming together of his talents and my talents. I mean, two things that we are just always super committed to at Cigar Box Battle is we're committed to customer service because we believe that your experience is more important than ours as a gamer. Mm-hmm. And Cory's he's just the gatekeeper of how we serve our customers and other gamers, and he's just super, super talented at making sure that people feel well served and are being sold a quality product. And my background is illustration and art, and so I've got a 15-20 year career in those fields, and commercial art and design and creative direction and illustration. And so basically we would brainstorm what designs we were interested in providing the community, and probably our most popular design that we've ever done is just the basic European type mat that has some fields and a road and stream. There's people who will talk about, well, I don't want this and that on my mat, or but there's opinions all over the place. But let me tell you, for every time you hear something like that, there's 5 or 10 people that have bought that mat. So so that is to this day something that people want, and it's just a product of our interest in the moment. We basically just said, something like that doesn't exist, and I bet people would want to be able to play historical games on a battlefield that kind of looks European. Mm-hmm. Sure. And so we did it, and I knocked out an illustration, and Cory went to town on creating the product description and promoting it, and basically treating everybody right and making sure that gamers are put first. And that's kind of the key to that relationship of tapping into each other's talents we talk about.
Yeah, and we found that, gamers, like, that's a great mat to talk about, that Europe mat. It's got roads on it, fields, streaming woods, and in certain ways it's very restrictive. But what we found is what we wanted as gamers was for club night just to be able to throw a mat down and fight a generic battle, and maybe have it the American, War of Independence or Civil War, Napoleonics. Be able to change it and just change some buildings and maybe some, fences and things like that. We found that gamers just, they love that, and we love it. That's probably, those are my favorite mats, actually, the ones that have the terrain marked on them. And we do offer some generic mats. That was just based on customer requests, things that just don't have any kind of features on them. We try to create a product that we enjoy. I'd say that is what continues to motivate us. I mean, we came out with some round mats a while back. I don't know if you guys saw those, but they're circular mats. And, and that came from basically from a patio table, and also a lot of conventions here, the hotels will have these round tables. And we thought, man, what a great way to do a skirmish game. 360 in the round, guys standing, no corners, just kind of a different kind of gaming experience. And, so we develop things that we would like to play with or have. I have an ancient galleys game. I think they're like 112 or 1600, these ancient galleys. And I've got a round Caribbean mat. It just makes for a great game. There's no backing into the corner, really, right? It's just a lot of fun, and it's kind of brings a little different dimension to the game. when you're dealing on a round table.
Very much so, yeah. I saw those, and it was like, first off, it was like, why on earth would you play on a round table? And then when you read up about it, it's like, yeah, everywhere you go, banqueting table, a lot of dining tables in hotels are round because that's what they do for, when they have weddings and all that sort of stuff. I was like, yeah, it really fits. So that was, it's a very clever idea.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Okay. So you produce gaming mats. Now, the one thing is, an awful lot of people that produce gaming mats, you'll tend to find they either do it in vinyl or in neoprene mouse mat material, or maybe on a thin printed cloth. Yours are slightly different. How did you come up with that, and why, basically?
We wanted a thicker cloth, not very thin, and I think ours is it's about the right thickness. We did a lot of studying on different fabrics. I mean, a lot of people don't see that behind the scenes, but we spent a lot of time looking at different fabrics, and we found one that is still light, but it will fold and give contours, and it's can fit into a backpack. And so we think we found the right thickness. And as far as why we use that material, we think as historical gamers, again, what we like is to be able to place hills underneath it.
Right.
And we just feel like with the neoprene mats and some of those other mats, the vinyl mats, that if you try to stick a hill under there, you're trying to create a Gettysburg, a little round top, big round top, or you're trying to do a Boer War battle, for example, and you need some hills and ridges. That we felt that the cloth mat really gave the best 3D rolling effects.
Right.
And bottom line, that's why we went with it. We think it just provides more of like a model railroad, just a better, more realistic looking 3D terrain. And one thing you can play with, I did the Shiloh game, is actually put the mat on top of a foam board and carve ravines and indentures into it. So you can really have some stuff that's sinking into the mat, like ravines, and you can have some layer terrain that's going up. So you've really got a 3D effect there. We've seen people do trenches. We've seen people do some riverbeds with bridges crossing them. Some really neat 3D effects. We've seen gorges, and I think that that's why we went with that. It's just, it provides a better. It's more realistic to us. We could have gone with any material, and we just chose that because we liked it the best. And it's, again, in fact, it's just what we felt would work best for our games.
Yeah, and it is quite nice material. I mean, when I got mine, it's the first thing you notice is it is thicker and it does lay over terrain placed underneath quite nicely, because sometimes with the thinner materials they can just bunch up and just stick. It just settles. It's really interesting. But the thing that interests me is with Chris doing the illustrations, the next step then is to actually print it onto the cloth. So have you got your own printer that you use, or do you go to a service to print it for you?
We have a manufacturer that we partner with to produce what you see in the end. I would say the cloth choice, the choice to do cloth mats at the time when we actually started this, I don't think there was another organization that was doing cloth mats.
No, definitely was no.
What we saw in the gaming market was neoprene, which is the mousepad material, and we saw PVC, which was like a vinyl, rollout vinyl, or a fold-up vinyl, which is even worse because then you have the fold markings. And we saw a chance to bring to the table a better solution for battle mats, because you could do all the things that you wanted to do with a mouse pad or a PVC mat, and that's typically putting terrain on top of it. Plus, you could put terrain underneath it, as Cory spoke to a while ago. And this is not to promote our social media or anything, but if you want to, I mean, our Facebook page and our Instagram account is just stocked full of photographs that people have sent us of these amazing works of art that they've created with our battle mats. And not only have they created these amazing works of art, they're playing games on them too, like, real game, Bolt Action and all these other games that everybody enjoys. But it's just absolutely gorgeous. And it's because they're getting their camera down at the table level, and you can see the hills and the dips and the dimension and the distance and the perspective, and the trees are blurred out in the background, and you're just able to create all these beautiful things. And it's because you have this cloth mat that's facilitating this this ground level underlayment for your game that is bringing a depth to that imagery. And we just thought, if every gamer out there, for just as the next item that they pick up, if they could pick up something that would take all of their games to the next level so that they could share them with everyone else, and everybody else think, gosh, that looks awesome. That's what we wanted to bring to the gaming community. And there's proof of it in all of our social media. I think one of the things that we love doing and being as a company is we love promoting what gamers out there are doing. And if you look at any of our social media, it is just full of evidence. We're one of the only companies in the gaming space that makes what we promote about our products about the gamers that are using them. And if you look at all those photos and those pictures, it's going to be all the amazing, wonderful things that people around the world are doing. It just happens to be that they're doing it with our battle mats, and we're just really super blessed that that's the case. But it also serves as great inspiration for anybody who looks at those photos and thinks, oh, I've got models that are like this. I could do something just like that, and I've never even thought about it. That's the power of the way that the way that we approached creating battle mats and why we did it. And, at the end of the day, when the game's over, you're folding it up, and it's the size of a towel, and you're sticking it in a backpack, and you're going, and you're not caring about the fact that you're wadding it up and sticking it in a bag, because when you pull it out and you flow it over another table, it doesn't have wrinkles in it, and it's ready to go. So we just want to make what you guys do easier and get a better outcome.
The one thing I like about your mats, there's a few things I like about them. When I got some, you were very kind. You let me and Neil have two each to review, which was very generous of you.
Indeed.
And I purposely went for ones which I wouldn't normally buy, because normally when I buy a battle map, a mat to put down, I'll go for something that's just sort of generic, sort of just scrubland or whatever, just so then I can build on top of it. But I thought, well, I want to do something different, so I bought your European one, the one with the roads and the forest and the stream, because I wanted to see what it was like and whether it would be usable. Because what I thought was, if I had this one, then that's going to limit how the games are actually played, because the terrain is basically in place. But the revelation was that it didn't do that. That it almost became a backdrop, and where you had the woods painted on, and designed. Yeah, I could put a few trees on that, and it became a wood, or I could leave it open, and it was just a field with some shrubland. And it was quite a revelation that how this one mat could be used in many, many different ways. And I've played lots and lots of games on it, so I think that was a really brave decision of yours to actually go and do a fully featured terrain mat. And I'm glad it's taken off.
I think by all rights, we, as Cory said earlier, we certainly listen to our audience and respond to them, and we've got those designs that have some of those features, but without the roads and without the woods, and so we're accommodating people who like general terrain look and feel. They just want the sense of an area of geography, and then we're also accommodating people who don't want to have to worry about all those things and want them to thematically, visually fit into the mat and already have the terrain built in, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think you nailed it. I think that they look restrictive. They're really not at all. I mean, you can, like where the woods are putting on the mat, we see people place a field on top of that, or a house, or they take a modern road, for example, maybe for Team Yankee, and run it down the middle of the mat, and the dirt roads become trails, or stay as dirt roads. But there's so many ways to modify the mats and to create your own game on top of that, just to use it as a base, or like you said, just a thematic kind of inspiration, that they're really not restrictive at all. And how many battles maybe had a dirt road run through it? Many, I'm sure. So, they seem restrictive, but by just altering things, altering hills, putting some fences on, fields, taking woods off, maybe you call the woods rough, just put some lighting down. There's so many ways to utilize and modify those mats. Different ways to play from north to south, to east to west, different scenarios that really we think the mats have a ton of replay value. And matter of fact, we know they do just because from our own personal experiences. For example, I have that Europe mat and I use it for bold action. And then I turn around and I use it for Napoleonics. I use it for 7 Years' War. I might use it for a skirmish game. And also the mats work with different scale figures. For 15 millimeter, those are, on the 15 millimeter mats, those are dirt roads. For 25 millimeter, they become trails in my print shooting war game. So the scale and the scope of the mat can change as well. We just think they have a ton of flexibility. I've got a lot of mats in my house, but there's probably 2 or 3 that I use all the time. Like that Europe mat's definitely one of them. A little bit of trivia: that mat was designed. The inspiration for that mat was a Napoleonic battle at Asperness from 1809. But it just makes a great kind of generic mat.
I kind of look at it like this. When you go into a convention, any gamer goes to a convention, and you walk into the main gaming room, and you start to see all these amazing things that people have been creative with, and your eyebrows lift, and your mouth opens, your jaw drops, and you start to see awesome things that you've never seen before. All it is it's just a testament to how creative we are as gamers. And if we're super creative, then let's just give something to the gaming community that allows them to be more creative. And I think these mats just kind of help with that a little bit.
We have one of our customers, and he loves to say it, friends don't let friends use green felt, right? You've all seen that before, right? Where, it's a piece of green felt, and they cut out some blue felt for the river. I mean, we've all done it. I mean, that's probably how I started. My earliest battles looked like that. But looking back on it, I probably spent almost as much as it would cost to buy a mat. You go down to the fabric store, and that stuff's not cheap. At least here it's not. They charge you by the yard, and it's expensive. And you probably, between a big piece of green felt and a bunch of fields and blue felt and some brown felt for the woods, I mean, there's better options. I'll leave it at that. There's better terrain options that look a lot better. So that's been one of our kind of joke slogans is, friends don't let friends game on green felt.
The other thing that you do, which is quite unusual, you do historical maps, which, again, when I got my 2, I also bought I was given the Waterloo map. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which was put together specifically for Sam Mustafa's Blucher game. And it's the perfect scale for playing Blucher. And we played Waterloo on that map, just using cards. And it's completely 2D, but it looks like a battle.
That's why that map was designed. I mean, we actually worked with Sam on that map. He gave us a lot of feedback on designing it. Matter of fact, that map was redesigned, but it's you can play it with 2D with the cards, and it's a great fun game.
Yeah, and it does work. It's quite interesting. It's almost like having a map on the table, because you've got the names of the different areas in there. You've got all of the landscapes there, and it does work. But you do an awful lot of specific mats for specific battles or part of battles. So what was the idea about doing that? Was it just from what you did originally and trying to carry that on?
I can tell you years ago, this was back when I was going to college, I had a friend, and what he would do is he would get a big piece of canvas, and he would paint historical battles on these canvases of scenarios. And he would keep them in his garage, and when he wanted to play that battle, he just rolled it out. And that kind of idea just kind of transferred to Cigar Box, and that, for example, our Battle of Nashville map. If you want to fight the Battle of Nashville for the American Civil War, you can roll that map out. It's to scale. You got a few troops, there's a couple entrenchments you need to add, but you can fight that battle. And what we've done is tried to kind of continue that, but do some of the kind of more well-known battles. Like we had Gettysburg, Day One. We've got Newmarket, and we have some other battles like that are. We've got part of Shiloh. We've got the Hornet's Nest, and where you can actually find a historical scenario, and it saves you the time of having to build that yourself. But what we've also found is a lot of guys are using these Civil War mats to fight, Team Yankee or Napoleonics, you name it, Micro Armor. Those Civil War mats have found a huge fan base with Micro Armor players. So there's just a lot of different things you can do.
I would like just to add to that, one of the things that it reminds me of, especially the Waterloo mat with Blucher, is it reminds me kind of old Avalon Hill games where you would have a map and you would have tokens and you'd be able to play almost like a board game. So you've got a product basically that people can play miniature games on. They can play games like Blucher, which are like enormous board games, and just you can use them in so many different ways. And one of the most original things that I've seen was there was saw a gentleman who had the Gettysburg Day One set of battle mats, and he had Wings of Glory fighting these airplane battles above. He wasn't fighting it above Gettysburg, but it was basically above a town. And the actual illustration on the mat, it's small enough and grand tactical enough that it seems and it comes across as like what you would see if you had been up in one of those biplanes shooting it out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Having a dogfight. So it was super interesting. He had these telescoping rods that he would put basically cotton clouds on that would be up dimensionally above the board, and had all of the airplanes on these telescoping rods as well, and they would just move them around the board and have dogfights. And I was just super amazed that someone saw that battle mat and it crossed their mind to use it in that way. That's these guys are creative, and gamers can do great stuff.
Part of the name Cigar Box was I was broke. I had no money back in college, right? So I would go by the local cigar store and take their boxes and put them out for free. Now I think they sell them. They've wised up. But you could take these boxes for free, and that's what I stored my miniatures in, and a lot of terrain. And I've always thought eventually I'd like to get you back to it again, but you could basically take one of our mats, especially one of the 3x3 mats. We have a couple of sizes, 6x4, 3x3, but fold it up, put it in there, and add a few 2mm, 6mm troops, or just some cards, like some Blucher cards. Very similar to Travel Battle, right? Just a game on the go inside of a cigar box, a literal cigar box battle. And, it just makes gaming easy, portable, makes it fun. It's the perfect kind of side game to play like Night at a Convention. Where you pull out the PVA mat out of a little box and troops and set it up, and again, we just create products that we like to play with. It all goes back to that.
Yeah. So where did the idea for plush mats come from then?
That was kind of our version of teddy bear fur. We always liked the teddy bear fur mats, but we didn't like the process of shaving them down and airbrushing them, and very labor intensive. We have a friend of ours that does his own teddy bear fur mats, and they're very labor intensive. Mm-hmm. So we just thought we'd like to offer something kind of in that area, in the ballpark, for people that wanted something a little three-dimensional. And what plush mats are, they're basically the same. They're the same designs, but they offer a slight, kind of a very shortly cropped teddy bear fur. It just gives a little 3D effect, and they can kind of be ruffled with your finger, or they give enough that you can run a toy tank over it, and you can see the tread marks. So they're designed just to add a little 3D effect.
Yeah.
The grain on the plush mats is about the length of static grass that you would put on your base of any model.
Oh, right, okay, yeah. So it all kind of ends up matching in, yeah.
Yeah, depending on what you're using. And the really interesting thing is you can brush the teddy bear fur grain back and forth, and you can make rough areas or see a little bit more dimension especially if you're going to take a picture of your game.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, obviously, you've also been moving out into other things. I mean, we've already been talking about the fact that these mats lay really nicely and have a good 3D effect, and so you moved out to produce mats that you can then kind of cut up and provide scenery for, with roads and rivers. And although it does seem that cutting your mats up seems a little bit criminal.
That's just an option. It didn't hurt too. Believe me, the first time I cut one of those up, it hurt. But it's just another great option. Again, that was just feedback that some gamers asked for. So they can move their own road. So, and also they can create their own mat. We had a guy named David Raven here at NashCon. Actually, he bought a bunch of our mats and literally cut them up and customized and built his own custom mat. So it was a Franco-Prussian War game. And he had about, I don't know, maybe 6 to 8, it might have been more, 10 mats. And he literally kind of did this Frankenstein contraption where he cut them and glued them and took the different, and used that roads and rivers mat, where you cut out your own roads and rivers, and created his own historical battle. And it looked fantastic. I was just blown away by it. And it involved zero stitching. He did it all with some kind of fabric glue, and just really looked phenomenal. If you go to the NashCon website, or I think on TMP, you might be able to also see some pictures of that. But again, that was just feedback from gamers. And hey, I want to be able to do my own crossroads battle, and have it match another mat. So those roads, match everything that we're doing. I think that's the key there.
Yeah, and I think the beginning of that was we had created a mat for the 3rd edition of DBA, De Bellis Antiquitatis.
Yeah.
And what we had done was we had illustrated all the different terrain types that would be used in the DBA rulebook, and we had them worked with our manufacturer to get them sized appropriately so that when you cut them out and you place them on your gaming surface, you basically have an appropriately sized swamp, or an appropriately sized dune, or an appropriately sized forest. So doing that first led to other people seeing that and saying, oh, well, I'm buying that for this other game that I'm playing.
Yeah.
And that turned into people who had bought maybe the Europe mat, and them saying, oh, well, do you have any other resources where I can have other roads that look like the roads that are on this mat here that you've designed, or rivers that look like the river on this mat here that you designed, but I'm adding it to this other one, and I kind of want it to fit in visually. And so that just kind of all came together and created those products and resources for people to be able to make what they want to make out of it.
You've got several different one of those, and of course the other thing I noticed that you started doing was backdrops.
That's right. Yeah, we do backdrops. We have a kind of a one, like a blue sky with some nice clouds in it, which is perfect. I hang that in my gaming room, and it's great for taking pictures. And then we have another one that's kind of more of like a sci-fi fantasy setting. It's like a blood red sky, we call it. Backdrop.
It really kind of appeals to the photographer in you for when you want to take. And it is one of those things that I've noticed more and more people, when they're putting on games, they tend to try and put a scenic backdrop on one side of the table. So, like, when you're viewing the table from a particular direction, it just gives that illusion of reality, doesn't it?
Right. Yeah. We've done that at many a convention where it'll be like, hey, cool, hey, I'll hold up one end of that, and Chris will hold up the other end. We'll have somebody take a picture, right? So just to kind of cut out all the background noise and the visual, and just get that blue sky in the background. So they've come in handy. That's kind of a cool man.
It cuts out all of the low-cut pants and the
the crotch shot at all the conventions.
The plastic cups.
Yeah, very much so. Right, now, that's what you kind of got on offer at the moment. Generic mats and some scenic ones, and obviously the historical battles as well. As we move into the future, what kind of directions are you looking at taking next?
Well, our immediate focus is on, we have a Kickstarter that's starting up August 1st. So it's in about, just a couple of weeks away, and possibly when the podcast release, a little quicker than that. So August 1st, our Kickstarter is opening, and basically what that is that's for a limited time, we will have the capability of printing on the plush battle mats on both sides. So we're going to be able to print double-sided plush battle mats.
Oh, wow, okay.
And what we're going to be able to do with our manufacturer is we're starting out with 45 designs that we've tested and approved. And we're going to be able to allow people to pick from among those 45 designs what they want on either side of the battle mat. So you'll actually be able to customize your combination.
Yeah, that's just what we want. So we wanted to be able to run a naval game, Saturday morning convention, and Saturday afternoon flip the mat and run a game maybe of X-Wing. So you'd be able to print, pick your designs, and we'll have it printed for you, and mailed to your house basically. So it's going to be a neat Kickstarter. So we're looking forward to it.
That'll be really interesting, because how do you get past the sort of bleed effect from one side to the other? Or...
The plush materials are thick enough that that's not an issue.
If you take a plush mat and you fold it up versus one of our standard mats, the plush mats, they're about twice as thick, so they don't bleed or bleed as much. So we've done a lot of test runs on it, and they work fine. So we can print pretty much any image on either side, and it's going to look great. There's a few images we're not including that didn't pass basically our quality inspection, the test run, but for the vast majority of all our designs will be okay.
Yeah, we'll actually be able to offer these right now. If you order a battle mat on our website, the cost that you're paying plus shipping, the cost per design is going to be a lot lower for this Kickstarter. So you may pay $69 plus shipping right now if you were to order a single-sided battle mat, and the cost for the actual Kickstarter is going to be much less than that per side.
Oh, wow, okay.
That's very tempting.
Oh, very much so.
Yes. and I'd say that's one reason we're using the Kickstarter is we can get, we're trying to get it the volume right, so that we can get the price down. So that's kind of the reason we're using that. But it's help us spread the word. We're definitely looking forward to that. It's going to run
right. Okay. So that's just going to be a limited release just for that Kickstarter, yeah?
Yes, correct.
So that's a Kickstarter exclusive, basically. Part of our Kickstarter, what our highest pledge level, I think we're calling it the Masterpiece Collection, is it's 10 double-sided mats, but it also allows you the option to design your own mat, which we'll work with Chris and our design team to design really. So there's only 5 of those available. Mainly it's just the time to design the mats, but it's an option for people to consider on the Kickstarter if they want. There's that one specific battle they want. They've always wanted this battle, or they always wanted a purple planet landscape, or match their miniatures, or whatever. But anyway, that is part of our Kickstarters. We're going to have 5 custom mat slots that are available
that you will be able to design yourself. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Cool.
Yeah, very much so.
Cool. So, next big question really is, how can people get hold of your mats?
Well, they can order from us online. We'll ship it anywhere in the world. So if you live, we've shipped to South Africa, to South America, you name it. We've shipped some places that are even allowed to ship, or at least PayPal will let us ship there. So ways around that. We'll get a mat to you. No matter where you are in the world, we're going to get a mat to you. But in the UK specifically, we have an import, which is North Star. So Star's done a great job for us. He was an early supporter, and he does monthly orders with us, kind of like a drop shipment. So you get an order to him. He places an order once a month with us. And what it does, it just saves on some of the hassle of importing products in the UK. I'm sure it's like here in the US, but pre-Nick, before we had North Star, we were getting quite a few lost in the mail, held in customs for 3 weeks. There were quite a few opportunities. with Nick kind of on that end, he just brings it in and he's able to distribute the mats and basically save some time and mainly he saves a lot of hassle. So that's really the advantage of going through him. If you're anywhere else in the world, I would say just order directly online from us.
And you can actually find us. Our store site is cigarboxbattlestore.bigcartel.com. The easiest way to find it is to go to cigarboxbattle.com and just click on one of the ads, and it takes you right straight to the store.
Mm-hmm.
And I would, before anybody, if you're not familiar with our products, before anybody makes a decision to purchase one, I would encourage you to find us on Facebook. Just search for Cigar Box Battle Mats. Find us on Facebook. Find us on Instagram. Find us on Twitter, and just look through all the proof and all the photos there of the awesome things that gamers are doing all over the world with these battle mats. And at that point, I mean, it just kind of becomes a no-brainer that this kind of becomes one of the tools in your toolbox as a gamer, and it helps you play fast and look good.
Yeah, you also have a really active YouTube channel as well.
We do. We enjoy making videos and posting them to YouTube. We're not professional cinematographers, obviously, but we do have a good time.
And if people want to know more about the Kickstarter, if they don't have to follow us on Facebook or like us, but do if you want to. But on our Facebook page, we're going to be releasing probably 6, 7, 8 videos over the next 3 weeks, just giving more and more information about that Kickstarter.
Cool. Excellent stuff. Okay, so basically at the moment, as far as like future plans are concerned, is it a case of you're very much geared towards the Kickstarter, and then after that, okay, let's see where we go from there?
Yeah, so we are dipping our toe into the publishing world. We've got an author that's working with us right now. We're coming up with a game, rule system, and
oh, cool.
That's kind of like that's in the future, and kind of is happening when it happens. Honestly, based on the Kickstarter, we don't know as we reach stretch goals. I think one of the things that we're going to do is, as we reach stretch goals, we're going to expand the amount of selection that people have and choice that they have for either side of the battle mats. So we'll be adding new designs that have never been seen before during that Kickstarter. So our amount of designs that we have available right now is close to 100, and probably moving towards the end of the year, it's going to go up greatly. So
that's absolutely right. But publishing, we're looking to get into the same. We've got things in the works. We talked about taking a few months and kind of just redoing some of the mats, even just kind of making the product line, which we do that periodically. There was a big controversy when the mats first came out, right? We had our label printed on the front side. I don't know if you guys remember that or not. But we just moved it to the back side. And, we might just update some of the mats, like the desert mat, kind of updated version of that, and just kind of refresh some things. So I look forward to seeing that in the future. So between updating our mats, publishing, and a few other surprises, that's kind of what I'd say the next 6 months.
One of the most interesting things to me is the secondary market and on these products. And when we, like Cory was saying, when we first started, one of the biggest pieces of feedback was we don't like the logo on the front. Of course, we had objectives as a company. We want people to start to realize who we are and what we're doing and recognize our organization and our products, right? But we responded to our audiences and moved that logo to the back side of the mats. And, one of the really interesting things is people now realize that there are not a lot of those original versions available that have the logo on the front. So it's almost they've become a commodity unto themselves. That collectible.
It's like they're collector items now. Yeah, it was kind of neat. Matter of fact, we saw at NashCon, using some mats that we don't even offer anymore. They're out of our catalog. They were it was an original design that had the logo on the front, and it was just really neat. It was like a trip down memory lane, and I would say those were definitely, to a certain extent, kind of collector items, which was never intended, but it's kind of a neat result. And what Chris was saying, too, secondary market, we've had people contact us. We had one guy contact us. He said his wife loved the ocean mat, and he wanted to buy one so she could make, what was it, Chris, a dress or something out of it? But anyway, she was going to essentially use the fabric for something, she was going to create a skirt or something out of it.
Yeah.
So we've had a lot of those kind of things, which is kind of
So just to give a quick rundown of what you do, like you say, you've got about 100 different designs. You're producing mats in 4.6 plus. That's a bit bigger than 4 foot by 6 foot.
Yeah, and the reason that we do that is because we know that people have a great interest in putting terrain elements underneath the mats to create hills and whatnot, and that's going to draw the length of the mat in a little bit. We want to make sure that you still have your 4x6 playing area. So in all honesty, the mats, when they're produced, are really close to 5x7.
Yeah, they are pretty big.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're closer to 5x7. They'll hang over a 6x4 table.
Yeah. You're also doing 3 foot by 3 foot mats for the small skirmish games.
Yes.
And you can get some mats which can be some of a hex design or grid.
Sure. Yeah, we have some hex, 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, 4 inches. We can also do some grids. Matter of fact, we'll make the announcement here. This will be the first time people hear. We again worked with Sam on his new game Rommel. That will be out in September. And we have some gridded mats. So that game, Rommel, uses a grid, and the size of the grid doesn't really matter, but we're going to have some 2-inch and 4-inch grids. The 2-inch for micro armor, that 3mm armor, and the larger grid for 15 or 25s. But we're going to have some mats coming out for his game that were designed to work with this new set of rules that Sam's releasing.
Yes.
The way that our store works is if you find a design that you want, there should be, if a grid or a hex option is available for that design, there should be a little drop-down menu on that product entry page, and where you can select the design, the add-on that's appropriate to your game that you're playing. So if you know that you need a 2-inch hex, you just drop the menu down and you find the 2-inch hex version, and there's no cost difference between the hex versions and the non-hex versions.
Cool. Because the other thing that we haven't mentioned, which is one of the big selling points, they're really comfy. If you wrap one of the blanket, it's like having a blanket.
So, in the early days of Cigar Box Battle, we talked about doing an advertising campaign that showed all these other life applications for our mats, and one of them was having your kids cuddle up with them on the couch, or a person going on a hunting trip covered up in one to where he looks like he's camouflaged, or just all kinds of different, using it as a family blanket on a beach, and then of course just gaming.
And of course, when we all get shouted up by our significant others and banished to the spare room to sleep, it makes it look like.
Yeah, you're in the doghouse, or you just have to pass out on the floor of the convention, whatever it takes, but we got you covered.
Yep.
Literally.
It could be a lifesaver.
That's right. Yeah. Just break your game down and call it a night.
Well, Chris, Cory, it's been fantastic to talk. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah. It's our pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's been great, guys, and it has to be said, you produce a fantastic product, and it is a unique product. There is nothing else like it out on the market. If people are wondering, exactly what it's like, they are superb, excellent quality, really hard wearing, and they're just an absolutely fantastic product. So they definitely get the Meeples seal of approval, don't they, Mr. Hubbs?
They do. They are one of my favourite things. We talked about them, before on the podcast, but I like the way the designs are done. I like the cloth. I like the fact it's heavy as well. So it ticks a lot of boxes for me.
Thanks, guys. We appreciate that.
No, it's brilliant, and it's been great to chat and find out a bit more about it. So we'd like to say thanks for coming on the show. We'd like to wish you all the very best for the upcoming Kickstarter. That sounds like that could get expensive. Do you think? Do you think, Mike?
Yeah.
Oh no, good stuff, guys. So thanks ever so much. Thank you for taking the time, and all being well, we'll catch up with you soon.
Will do.
All right.
Thanks so much. Take
Good
care.
gaming.
Yeah. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.
We hope that you're enjoying this episode of the Meeples and Miniatures podcast. If you are, would you like to support us? There's a couple of ways of doing so. You can become a patron of the show by supporting us on our Patreon page. There you can give regularly every time we produce a show. Alternatively, you may want to give a one-off donation, and you can do that by using PayPal. For more details on both these options, please click on the Donate tab on our website www.meeplesandminiatures.co.uk.
It's all dilution of the hobby, mate. That's what I say.
It's dilution theory.
Oh, that was something we missed last week. Oh my word, that was it. That was
let's
in
face
full
it,
flow.
by the same argument, you don't need another deck building game or another worker placement game.
Well, quite.
Or another
don't-
dungeon crawl.
You don't need. No, you don't. You don't now. Dungeon Saga does that. You've got worker placement. You've got village. You've got Pillars of the Earth and World Without End, and you've got that game we played the other week, which
Lords of Westeros. Waterdeep!
Lords of Waterdeep.
Lords of Westeros.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you don't need another worker placement game until those are no good anymore, which I think is going to be a very long time.
You join us just as we are being treated to the latest epistle from the great guru himself. Yes, about the dilution of the hobby.
Dilution theory. It's not dilution of the hobby. It's dilution theory.
Dilution theory. I mean, yeah, this is what we have to put up with while we're off air.
Yeah.
Well, it's true. You know, limited amount of leisure time plus too many games equals dilution theory, meaning all those games that you really, really like, you stop playing. And then you come back to them about 2 years' time and go, why did we stop playing this? Because of dilution theory. That's why you stop playing it.
The first thing that's normally said, and especially by Mr. Luff, is, how do we play this game again? Neil, how do we play this game again?
Dilution theory the other week was at its full height when Neil rocked up to the house with what I can only say was enough gaming matter to last us for about 5 years. And it was all of the same game. And I was like, we're only going to play one game tonight. Why you brought all that?
He wanted to show you his toys.
It was Conan. It was Conan goodness.
Yes, it was Conan goodness, but blimey. It was overdose.
No, I don't know what you're talking about, Dave. So, apparently, all board games are equal, but some are more equal than others.
Oh, yes, that's without doubt. You can't put Monotony in the same bracket, can you?
No, that's a good game, Monotony.
You think so?
Oh, I love Monotony, yeah.
Mm.
You are dead to me.
Having been slightly derailed by the preaching of the great guru himself.
Well, hail him.
Indeed. In the meantime, we hope you enjoyed that chat with Chris and Cory from Cigar Box Battles. Don't forget that their Kickstarter is starting on 1st of August. There or thereabouts. I've already been looking at just how much plushiness we could potentially order.
Dilution theory.
It's a gaming mat. It's a game.
It's a mat to put it on, for bleeps.
Yes, but he's already got a load of mats.
He's got a gaming mat. Why do you need another one?
He's got loads of gaming mats. I made him take about 3 of them home because he just left them slyly at my house for storage. Because he's running out of his own storage area, so he's decided to use part of my lounge now.
Yeah, but these are double-sided and plushy and furry and.
You need to get a life. You need to get out more.
Why don't we use his mat anymore? Because we're not doing desert.
It's such a good map as well.
I already have been torn. Although I think the one thing that has to be said is that I think having a textured space mat might be a little bit OD. That might be just a little bit too much.
Everyone knows space is furry. Maybe not.
I think it's in one of Douglas Adams' other books.
Wouldn't surprise me.
No, I must admit, I think that's to my mind that's the only one. That's the only one that probably won't fit within the kind of mini teddy bear for realm. But everything else, I mean, I think we were talking about their mixed terrain mat as one. But have you seen their new grassland mat?
Yeah, it's lovely.
Oh, dearie me, that is nice. Oh. Yes, so look out for that. When that Kickstarter goes live, we will post a link up to it. And yes, so double-sided plushy goodness from Cigar Box Battles coming to a Kickstarter soon. So are we about done?
I am.
I think Luffy was done a while ago.
Yeah, he's well done.
I'm flagging.
Right, just before we go, I just want to give a quick shout out to an event that is happening at the end of September. You may remember that I attended a Test of Honor boot camp at Warlord Games and fought what turned out to be one of the longest Scenario 1 battles in history, although apparently that has since been beaten. Anyway, there is going to be a new event organised at the end of September. It's called Warring States, and it is a Test of Honor Battle Day being held at Warlord Games. Kieran Byrne, who is one of the main organisers, is currently looking for more players for that day. It's going to be a casual, I think it's bring 24 points of your Test of Honor army along, and we'll have a laid-back day of playing Test of Honor with several different scenarios. So, if you need to check it out, I think it's an event on Facebook. So, you'll have to have a look at it, look for it on Facebook. But if you look for Test of Honor Warring States on Facebook, you will find an event page there with a PDF download. I will put a link to it in the show notes. Okay? And finally, just before we go, a note to say that it's 2017. It's summer, which can only mean one thing.
Test crickets?
Other than Test cricket and us... let's not talk about the second test. It is the fact that the WSS 2017 Wargames Survey has been launched and is live.
And I may have foolishly promised Jesper we'd do another video.
I did notice that. Yes, although how we top last year's is
well, I'd hate
debatable.
to spoil surprises online, but I'm sure we could work out something involving a snoring Dave.
Oh, dear.
I was thinking of composing and playing a song together, Mr. Whittaker, but you never know.
That's always possible.
Indeed,
but that
it
means
is.
we probably have to have Hobbsy singing. I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, Neil Shook singing if I had a set of decent dice.
I'll play tambourine.
They can play drums. Link in the show notes, WSS Wargame Survey 2017. Yeah, we may do a video, you have been warned. So all that remains to be said is thank you for joining us to the great guru himself, who appears to have just...
I think he's just fallen off his chair.
I think he's just fallen off his chair, or he's fallen off his microphone, yeah.
Oh, yeah, yes. Thank you, chaps, Very tired. I just suddenly started smelling PVA glue, which is quite alarming, actually.
I'd give that up. It's not a good habit to get into.
I just wondered where it was, knowing that I have got like 5 litre tub of PVA glue somewhere up here. And just
That's taking a glue sniffing habit to extremes.
You can't have too much. You can't have too much PVA glue when Neil wants to make scenery.
He's not going to let that go anytime soon. Thank you very much to our travelling troubadour, Mr. Mike Whittaker.
You are, as ever, very welcome.
And once again, thank you to our tight-lipped, but otherwise,
but not tight-fisted.
Indeed, a Welsh wizard. Thank you, Mr. Hobbs.
You're very welcome. Thank you, Neil, once again for inviting me. It's always an honour. Never a chore.
Yes, and thank you one and all to the Meeps.
Oh, yes. God bless you, Meeps.
Indeed.
Roll good dice. Well, roll better dice than Neil, anyway.
Not difficult. So thank you one and all for listening. Hope you've enjoyed the show. And we will speak to you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
You know what? You know this tub of 6 litres of PVA glue, Neil? We've actually managed to use 3 litres of it so far on Chain of Command scenery.
Really? What, the other 3 litres just fallen on the floor?
No, not. 3 litres of PVA. Thought we were drinking it.
Sorry, I was like...
Thank you for listening to the Meeples and Miniatures podcast. If you've enjoyed the show, why not share it with others by leaving us a review on iTunes? And if you have any comments or questions, you can always email the show. The address is info@meeplesandminiatures.co.uk. And you can also visit our webpage, where you'll find a complete episode archive, all the View from the Veranda podcasts, rules reviews, and our blog of hobby items and news, which is updated several times a week. This is also where you'll find the links to our presence on social media, and here you can follow us on Twitter or join our Facebook group. And finally, here you can also find details should you wish to support us by making a donation to the podcast. All this on the Meeples and Miniatures website, www.meeplesandminiatures.co.uk. The Meeples and Miniatures podcast is licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives 3.0 Unported license. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.